some time. Good morning, kids. And let's continue chapter number 7. We have covered about the adaptations in polar region. And today we are going to take up the adaptations and the climatic conditions in tropical rainforest. We have covered that there are certain regions in Asian regions, for example, some of the regions in India, in Africa, there are these dense forests wherein tremendous number of species of plants and animals they survive. Polar regions, the animals and plants will be less in number because the conditions are extreme. Extreme cold. So only a few species can survive there. But as far as tropical rainforest is concerned, the conditions are such that more and more organisms can survive in less to less area. Per square feet, more and more species of plants and animals can survive in a rainforest. See, for survival of any of the organism, what do we need? We need food, water, shelter, of course, warmth. If the temperature is extreme in either of the ends, extremely cold or extremely warm, extremely hot, like those of deserts, then definitely number of organisms, be it animals or plants, they will be very, very less in number. That means if we want species, here you forget about this tropical rainforest, even if you compare the planets, various planets with that of Earth. Why do we say that life exists on Earth? The reason? Because of the conditions. The Earth is neither far away from the sun nor too close like that of Mercury. Getting my point? So if we want life forms to exist, if we want life forms to exist, definitely that area will have the conditions, the prevailing conditions of that area will be such that organisms can survive there. So what are the conditions of the rainforest? Most of the time of the year, the average temperature of tropical rainforest ranges or fluctuates between what we say as room temperature, that is around 25 to 35 it fluctuates. Most of the animals and plants can survive in this range. And plenty of water is available for survival. Of course, we need water. Now, common sense, you must have seen past few days, once it has started raining for this rainy season, you must have seen that there is greenery all around. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
We are in Rajasthan. So, in this dry place itself, this rainwater can create these miracles that we have all greenery all around. So in the tropical rainforest, wherein maximum amount of rainfall happens there. That means it will be a very, very dense forest with plenty number of plants there. If plants are there, then definitely animals will also be there. And moreover, as I told you in the initial part of my lecture, that the temperature of this tropical rainforest region is such that life can exist there. It's neither too cold nor too hot. And due to this, we have n number of animals living here. A few of them they have discussed in our chapter. We are going to deal with those animals one by one. In our examination, They may give us the name of one particular animal, asking write down the adaptations of. So if they mention that write down the adaptations of elephant, then we'll be writing for elephant. If they ask for lion or tiger, we'll be writing for them. Or they may be asking the question in this way, beta, that they may ask us write the climatic conditions of tropical rainforest and the characteristic feature of animals living in them. So we are supposed to write down the conditions prevailing there that we are going to write first, like we wrote for polar region. And then we are going to write for the characteristic feature of these animals, the adaptations in these animals. In general, we are going to take them up one by one, but in general, because it is a forest, so adaptations will be accordingly only. Animals, most of the animals will be well adapted to climb up the trees. Be it this monkeys, or you're talking about these flying squirrels are there, monkeys are there. Then we are talking about these frogs, different types of frogs are there. Have you ever heard of these flying snakes? They are not actually flying, but they are adapted themselves that they can go from one tree to the other. Most of the animals, they get their food, their shelter, water, everything on the trees itself. Hardly they come down on the ground. That means they are adapted to have their life on the trees only. Of course, there are animals which are living on the land there. They do live in the caves like those of lions, deers, giraffe, etc. But most of them, we are going to discuss a few of them here also in the later part of the chapter. They are well adapted to live on trees. So let's begin writing the conditions prevailing in the rainforest, the tropical rainforest. And as the name indicates, we know that because of the nearness to the equator, these regions are like almost near to the equator. And due to that, what happens? That the day and night length is like almost same. Maybe we are, say, for example, dividing, then accordingly, maybe 12 hours on both the sides. 12 hours there, then 12 hours night. Not exactly the same, but almost near the same. Okay, we are going to write down now the conditions in the tropical rainforest. That will be there for 5-mark question. So beginning with the first of all, tropical rainforest. The second part, the first part we already covered. The second part, climate and adaptation. 7.3, second part. Tropical rainforest. And there are not many all over the globe. Now let's start writing their conditions. Generally, so for example, we begin with writing ABC. Generally, what? Climate. Due to its location, due to its location along the equator. The temperature is uniform and cold. The temperature is more than 15 degrees Celsius. Just imagine it never goes below this. The coldest part also it is 15 degrees Celsius. And during summer, during summers, it may cross 40. Just now I told you, and I'm sticking to my statement that most of the time, most of the part of the year, the temperature ranges between 25 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius. Okay? But even in the coldest parts of the year, maybe at the end of the December or beginning of January, it will never go below 50. So that gives a condition for the animals to survive. Extreme hot, if it is an extreme hot June month going on, then it may go beyond 40 a bit, but then again it starts raining immediately. That's when the name is rainforest. Okay. See, there is this condition trying to check on that. The rainforest, they have plants, trees, they are so dense that if there are most places in rainforest where the sunlight doesn't reach to the surface of the ground. The forest is so dense. The bigger trees will be there and the smaller ones, and in the small they have the wider leaves. They don't let the sunlight to fall down to the ground. That thick these particular forests are. Our next one, the deep part of it. Days and nights are almost. Days and nights are almost equal in length. This is again our equal in length throughout the year. Throughout the year. These regions get plenty of rainfall. This is the important feature. These regions get plenty of lots and lots of rain. Like it is happening right now, that way, plenty of it. We hardly get it for like 1 month or so. There it rains many more times. That's the reason of this region being very, very green. Plenty of rainfall. Few pages. And humid time. And that supports the life forms. Maximum, if you compare any region on the earth, then these places have most of the species of plants and animals living there. Because the prevailing conditions are such. Of course, once these conditions are there, favorable conditions, then definitely This region supports this region supports variety of plants and animals. Variety of plants and animals. Now, common sense, there are more number of animals, there are more number of plants. Like I gave you the example of plants. I told you that even the smaller plants have wider leaves. Because they need to get the sunlight. Even if some small drop of sunlight is reaching to them, they try to trap it. Same is the story applicable for animals. There is a very, very strong competition for survival there because the number is more. For example, deer, the hundreds of deer are there. Lion, of course, more number of them. Tigers, more number of them. Then there is like a competition for survival, for food, for shelter. Okay. There is intense competition for the shelter. Due to this, there is intense competition for intense competition for food and shelter. Try to wind it up. And if you have not, then make sure that we complete this. Then we will start writing the adaptations for the animals living in this tropical rainforest.
Done, ma'am.
To begin with,
Done, ma'am.
it's okay. Did not say that I'm giving some.
No.
And don't do it. I'll ask when needed and let me explain by the time I can see some kids are still writing. Well, the animals to begin with, the first one we are going to deal with is the red-eyed frog. The diagram given is diagram number 7.7. 7.7, page number 75. And in that they have mentioned the diagram clearly. There is this red-eyed frog. It has, now for example, if I want to or you want to hold a twig or a branch, we cannot hold it much long because the skin of our palm is smooth. On the other hand, you must have seen monkeys climbing up on the trees very fast. They hold one branch, then they hold the other one, they leave the first one, and hardly they fall down. Most of them, they nicely keep swinging on the branches, they don't fall down. The reason their skin below the palm, what we say, the hand, the skin is such that it can give them a proper grip. And moreover, this thumb portion, it is exactly in the opposite direction and it helps them to hold the branch much more properly. Same way, this red-eyed frog has got these spongy pads, like you must have seen. Now, where have I seen these spongy pads in my life? In case of house lizard or wall lizard. It climbs up on the walls. It remains upside down, sticking on the roof, but it does not fall down. Now, what is this sticky pad meaning? They create vacuum. The structures on the side of their feet, you can say on the lower side of their feet, is such that once they press them against the wall or the roof, it removes air and it creates a suction pump there. In a way, it creates vacuum. And vacuum is a very strong force. They hold one, say for example, one with the help of the vacuum, and then they remove the previous leg, and then they put another one. This is the way house lizards move. Now these frogs have to jump from one tree to the other. So what do? One will take the leaf or the jump from one plant or tree. They leave their suction there, the vacuum they release from their feet, and then they, with full force, move from one part of the plant or from one tree to the other, and to whichever surface they are going, with full force they press their feet to the surface.
Ma'am?
And once it pushes that to the surface, it removes air. And it removes air, that means it creates a vacuum there. So the only adaptation we are going to write today for this frog is that it has these sticky pads. It helps in sticking to the surface. Not only it creates sort of vacuum there, it helps it to stick to that surface. Okay, so let's begin writing with this red-eyed frog, the diagram of which I would expect the kids to see figure 7.7 in our chapter.
Ma'am?
This is the first animal, tropical rainforest, first animal. And about that, we are going to write down. I am going to give you the time to ask your doubts, as I told you in the initial part of the chapter, before the recording started. I told you that I'm going to give you the time. Right now, let's find out the topics, and then I'm going to clear your doubts. The first one, red-eyed frog. The structure is something we are calling it as red-eyed frog, but the main adaptation is it has sticky pad on its feet. On its feet to help it climb trees, to help it climb trees on which it lives. From where am I getting all these adaptations? They are given very clearly, but they are mentioned in paragraph instead of points on page number 75. Next, for monkeys, as I was explaining you, of course, their life also, most of the life form there was on trees only. They have long tails for grasping branches. They have long tails for grasping. Grasping is holding. They say that the tail basically acts as the fifth limb. Fifth limb means 2 forelimbs, 2 hind limbs. So haath, do pair. And of course, the last but not the least is the tail. So it helps them, of course. And second is their hands, feet. Their hands and feet. Helps them to hold on to branches. To hold on to branches. And therefore, of course, their thumb, you can say, is adapted in such a way. For example, our hand is such that the thumb goes this way. But their thumb is almost like 4 fingers on one side and the thumb is on the other side. So they hold the branch very, very properly. They don't fall down. Now let me see the kids who were asking certain doubts. I am opening the chat. Who was asking that question? You may raise your hand, those who want to ask the question. Somebody was asking a doubt. No, it was not Chirag. I recognize Chirag's voice.
Ma'am, he was Ritesh.
Okay. Then Ritesh, why are you not asking now? Tell me.
Ma'am, ma'am, it was not a doubt, ma'am. I said that in the D part, what is written after this reason.
Okay. Your doubt. Now who was asking? Chirag was asking the doubt. Pucho beta.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you have told that the lizards have sticky pads. Lizard has spongy pads on its feet, and when the lizard presses it with against the wall, the vacuum
May I
creates.
ask you one question? May I interrupt you here? Lizard's adaptation is not there in the chapter. I added it as one more example, number 1. But the adaptation in feet and the adaptation in feet of this frog, they are similar, not same.
Okay.
Here the feet are sticky. Their structure is such in the feet that they create a vacuum. Here in our chapter, let me tell you, first we are supposed to read for this red-eyed frog, the second one monkeys, the third we are going to read about is bird toucan, and then we are going to read about fourth number goes to lions and tigers. Then we'll be reading about lion-tailed macaque, and last but not the least, elephant. These adaptations only we are supposed to complete in the chapter. The animals living in rainforest are enormous, many. Okay, but according to the syllabus and the chapter, we are supposed to cover only these 6. Well, if you have not written these, then please try to wind it up. Or else you can take a screenshot. From my side, this much only we are going to deal today in today's lecture. We'll be dealing with the remaining part of the chapter tomorrow. Please read and come prepared. Little bit kids. Happy learning. Stay blessed, Beta.